I never expected that my life would change because of a smile. I was just an engineer from Earth, part of a small diplomatic research team sent to the distant planet of Aurelia, a world of towering silver trees, lavender skies, and oceans that glowed faintly at night. Humanity had only recently joined the Galactic Concord, and Aurelia was one of the oldest, most respected civilizations in the Alliance. Our mission was simple: study their energy architecture and propose cooperative projects. No politics, no drama, no personal entanglements. At least that was the plan. The Aurelian capital, Linaris Spire, rose from the center of a crystal lake. Bridges of light arched from shore to palace gates. Their technology looked like magic: floating platforms, living walls that shifted color with the time of day, air that carried a faint musical hum. The Aurelians themselves were tall, luminous-eyed, with silver-blue skin that shimmered like moonlight. They moved with calm precision, their voices soft and melodic. I felt clumsy among them. On the third day of our visit, our delegation was invited to attend a royal reception in the Hall of Reflections. It was an honor rarely granted to off-worlders. I wore my formal uniform, trying not to look overwhelmed by the massive mirrored dome above us. Light from the lake below filtered upward, painting ripples across the ceiling like liquid stars. That was when I first saw Princess Leora of Aurelia. She entered without fanfare, yet the entire hall seemed to hush. She wore a gown of shifting light thread, her long silver hair braided with tiny floating crystals. Her eyes were a deep violet, rare among Aurelians, and when they passed over the crowd, they paused on me. Just me. I thought it was coincidence. Surely a princess had better things to notice than a nervous human engineer gripping a glass of synthetic fruit wine. But then she smiled. It was small, gentle,
and directed at me.
Something inside me froze. I awkwardly nodded, unsure of protocol. Her smile widened slightly, and then she continued forward to greet ambassadors and dignitaries. Yet I felt as though a beam of light had singled me out in a vast universe. That night, I told myself it meant nothing. I was wrong. Over the following days, strange coincidences kept happening. I would be studying energy conduits in the research wing, and Princess Leora would arrive to observe progress. I would take a walk along the lake after work, and she would appear on a floating bridge, enjoying the evening glow. Each time she smiled. Each time, my heart beat a little faster. Eventually, she spoke to me directly. "Engineer Adam of Earth," she said one evening, stepping beside me on the bridge. "You study energy flows. Tell me, what do you believe truly powers a civilization?" I blinked. Power grids? Fusion reactors? Efficient distribution? She laughed softly. "Your answer is honest, but incomplete." I hesitated. "Then what is your answer?" She gazed across the glowing lake.
Trust.
Connection. The willingness to share strength rather than hoard it. Without that, all energy becomes meaningless.
I didn't know what to say.
I just nodded, and she smiled again. 2 weeks passed in what felt like a dream. Our delegation completed its research agreement. The final evening arrived, a grand diplomatic gathering where treaties would be signed, gifts exchanged, and alliances confirmed. I expected to stand in the background, another anonymous technician. Instead, my life unraveled in a single moment. The Royal Council gathered on a raised platform. Queen Maritha, Leora's mother, stood tall in ceremonial armor that shimmered like starlight. Dozens of species filled the hall: ambassadors, scientists, nobles. Cameras hovered silently, broadcasting to interstellar networks. The Queen lifted her staff of office. "Tonight," she announced, Aurelia affirms a new chapter of cooperation with Earth. Applause echoed. Then the Queen turned slightly. And, she continued, we present Princess Leora, future heir of Aurelia, to make a declaration of personal significance. My stomach tightened. Why did I suddenly feel nervous? Leora stepped forward. Her violet eyes scanned the crowd. Then, to my horror, they locked onto mine. People of Aurelia, she said, voice steady and clear. For generations, our royal line has maintained unity through chosen bonds, marriages formed to strengthen alliances and ensure stability. Yet tradition alone is not enough. True unity requires understanding. She paused. And so I present to you the one I have chosen. Every eye turned to follow her gaze.
To me.
I nearly dropped my drink. Princess Leora walked down the steps toward the crowd. Murmurs spread. Cameras pivoted. Diplomats whispered. She stopped in front of me and smiled. This is Engineer Adam of Earth, she declared. He will be my groom. The hall exploded into gasps, shocked chatter, and stunned silence all at once. I felt dizzy. My mind screamed. This must be a mistake. A misunderstanding. A diplomatic metaphor. But then she extended her hand. Will you stand beside me? She whispered. Every instinct told me to run. But her eyes held no malice. No trick. Only quiet certainty. I took her hand. The room went completely still. After the announcement, chaos erupted behind closed doors. Aurelian ministers argued. Human diplomats demanded explanations. My team leader nearly fainted. Security officers escorted me to a private chamber while protocols were reviewed. I sat alone, staring at the glowing walls, wondering if I had just become the center of an interstellar incident. The door slid open. Princess Leora entered. I owe you an explanation, she said calmly. I stood quickly. Princess Leora, this was unexpected. She nodded. I know. And I apologize for placing you in such a position. But there was no other way. No other way to announce I'm your groom to the galaxy? I asked, half joking, half terrified. She gave a small smile. Aurelia is facing a hidden crisis. She explained that the Galactic Concord had grown unstable. Powerful factions wanted control over Aurelian energy technology. Political marriages had been proposed, alliances that would bind Aurelia to rival powers. The Queen resisted, but pressure grew. Leora, as heir, was expected to accept a union she did not want, one that would compromise Aurelian independence. So, you chose a human engineer instead? I asked. Yes, she said simply. I blinked. Because I smiled back? She shook her head. Because you see energy as something to share, not dominate. Because you treat my people as equals, not prizes. And because Earth is new to the Concord, unentangled in existing power struggles. She stepped closer. But also, she added softly, because you never looked at me like I was untouchable. You just talked to me. I swallowed hard. Leora, this is your future. Your planet. I can't just. You don't have to decide now, she said. The declaration is symbolic. Aurelian tradition allows time for mutual consent. I exhaled slowly. Then I need to understand what I'm agreeing to. Of course, she said. Walk with me. Over the next days, she showed me the truth behind her world. Hidden beneath Lunara's spire was the heart reactor, a living energy core that powered the entire planet. It pulsed like a star trapped underground. Its technology was older than human civilization, and many factions in the galaxy wanted it. If Aurelia falls under another empire's influence, Leora said, the heart reactor becomes a weapon. Entire systems could be enslaved through energy control. I stared at the glowing core. So, your marriage choice is the shield. Yes, she said. A political shield. A statement that Aurelia chooses partnership with Earth rather than subjugation under an existing power block. I rubbed my temples. I'm just an engineer. I don't belong in royal strategy. She smiled again. Perhaps that is why you are perfect. Word of the engagement spread across the galaxy. Some praised it as a bold new alliance. Others called it a reckless gamble. Rival factions began applying pressure. Trade routes were threatened. Diplomatic warnings arrived daily. Then came the assassination attempt. It happened during a public ceremony by the lake. A hovering drone disguised as a gift carrier suddenly accelerated toward Leora. Security reacted too late. I moved without thinking. I shoved her aside as the drone detonated in a flash of white heat. The shockwave threw me into the water. My ears rang. My vision blurred. When I surfaced, guards were dragging Leora to safety. My uniform was torn. My shoulder burned. But I was alive. Leora ran to me, kneeling at the lake's edge. Adam, are you hurt? I think I'll live, I gasped. Tears shimmered in her violet eyes. And in that moment I understood. This was no longer just politics. That night, as healers treated my injuries, Leora sat beside me in silence. Now you know the danger, she said softly. You can still walk away. No dishonor will follow you. I looked at her. Not a princess. Not a symbol. Just a person trying to protect her world. I thought of Earth, fragile, young, hopeful. I thought of the galaxies, shifting tides. I thought of the smile that started it all. Then I reached for her hand. I'm not walking away. Her eyes widened. If my being here can help keep Aurelia free, I said, then I'll stand beside you. As your partner. Not just your groom. She smiled. Not the diplomatic smile from the hall. A real one. The final ceremony took place beneath the mirrored dome, where our story began. This time, no surprise announcements. No whispered strategies. Only open choice. Queen Marithas spoke first. Princess Leora, do you present this human as your chosen partner by free will? I do, Leora answered. The queen turned to me. Adam of Earth, do you accept this bond in understanding of its duty and consequence? I took a breath. I do. Light flowed from the heart reactor far below, threading into the hall. The walls glowed. The lake shimmered. Aurelian energy recognized the oath. Across the galaxy, news spread instantly. Aurelia had chosen a new path. Not domination. Not submission.
Partnership.
Months later, I stood on a balcony of Linares Spire, watching twin moons rise. Leora joined me, resting her head lightly on my shoulder. Do you regret it? She asked quietly. I smiled. I came here to study energy, I said. Instead, I learned what truly powers a civilization. She laughed softly.
Trust.
Connection. Sharing strength. Exactly, I said. Her violet eyes met mine. And it all began, she whispered, with a smile. And so the engineer from Earth became more than a visitor. He became a bridge between worlds. Not through conquest or technology, but through understanding. In a galaxy of shifting stars and fragile alliances, one smile changed everything. The night winds of Aurelia carried soft luminous petals across the palace balcony. Below, the crystal lake reflected 3 moons now, a rare celestial alignment that occurred only once every century. The Aurelians called it the Triple Witness, a sign that destiny had chosen a path that could no longer be undone. Adam stood silently beside Princess Leora. No, Princess Leora's future consort, as the galaxy now knew him. Yet in this quiet moment, There were no titles. Only two people gazing at a universe that had suddenly grown much larger and much closer. You realize, Adam said softly, that half the Concord still doesn't trust this alliance. Leora's lips curved into a knowing smile. Let them doubt. Trust is never given all at once. It is earned action by action. Adam glanced at her. Then we have a lot of work ahead. Yes, she said. Together. Before he could reply, the sky rippled. A column of light rose from the heart reactor far beneath the palace, shooting upward into the heavens. The lake trembled. The bridges of light brightened. Every Aurelian across the planet felt the pulse, the reactor's recognition of the new bond that now shaped Aurelia's future. Leora reached for Adam's hand. The heart has accepted you, she whispered. It now knows you as one of us. Adam felt warmth surge through his chest, not burning, but steady, like standing near a living star. Images flickered in his mind, forests of silver trees, ancient Aurelian architects shaping living cities, generations guarding the heart's secret. The world opened to him, not as a visitor, but as family. When the vision faded, he exhaled slowly. So this is what it means to marry a planet, he said. Leora laughed quietly. Welcome to Aurelia, Adam. In the weeks that followed, political storms arrived exactly as predicted. Rival powers attempted sanctions. Trade fleets postured at system borders. Shadow councils debated whether Aurelia's decision should be challenged. But something unexpected happened. Earth's representatives stood firm. Humanity, young, underestimated, and idealistic, declared that Aurelia's independence would be respected. Other smaller civilizations, long weary of galactic superpowers, followed Earth's example. A new coalition formed, not one of conquest, but of mutual protection. The galaxies shifted, not by force, but by unity. And at the center of it all stood a human engineer and an Aurelian princess who had dared to choose differently. On the day of their bonding ceremony, the Hall of Reflections overflowed with light. Delegations from dozens of worlds attended. Cameras broadcast the event across thousands of star systems. Yet Adam barely noticed any of it. He only saw Leora. She stood before him, silver hair woven with starlight, violet eyes calm and bright. No crown, no armor, just herself. Queen Maritha raised the ceremonial blade, not to cut, but to symbolize the severing of old paths. From this day forward, the queen proclaimed, Aurelia walks a new road. Not alone, not ruled, but joined in equal bond. Leora and Adam pressed their palms together. Light flowed. The bond was sealed. No chains. No ownership. Only shared destiny. Later that evening, Adam found himself alone on the balcony once more. The sky glowed in soft lavender hues. Somewhere in the palace, music played, gentle, hopeful. Leora joined him quietly. Do you remember the first day we met? She asked. Adam chuckled. I was terrified. I thought I'd offend royal protocol by breathing wrong. She smiled. And yet you smiled at me anyway. Adam turned toward her. One smile changed everything, he said. Leora rested her forehead against his. Not just everything, she whispered. Everyone. They stood together as the moons drifted higher, as stars wheeled slowly across the heavens, as a new chapter of galactic history quietly began, not with a war, not with a treaty, but with two people choosing to stand side by side. And in the centuries to come, when historians spoke of the moment Aurelia changed the fate of the Concord, they would not begin with politics. They would begin with a simple truth. A human engineer once smiled at a lonely princess, and the universe answered.